Hello, everybody, and thanks for coming to our webcast on the new CALI viewer interface for lessons. I see a few of you over 50 on the line today, so we're pretty excited about the turnout. Thanks for showing up. I'm Austin Greathouse. That's me in the middle. If you can see that little guy in the little green shirt. And on the call today we have Elmer, Levon, John, and Sam. So I've told them to jump in at any time, so they may have something to say. The other thing is, if you guys have questions, I want to encourage you to ask them through the question toolbar. Just send us a question, and Elmer should let me know if it's in there, and we'll do our best to answer it. So just very quickly, I'm going to give a rundown of where lessons are right now. We currently have over 1 million runs each year for the past 3 years of CALI Lessons. It's kind of plateaued. It kind of had growth, pretty strong growth in about 2004 to 2007, but it's kind of plateaued around 2007, and we think that's partly because of some of the problems that the new viewer solves. So the point of this is just to say that a bunch of your students are out there running these lessons, and especially for your 2Ls and 3Ls who are used to the old version, make sure you let them know about this new switch, because it's going to look completely different, and we don't want to confuse them. The other thing is, we think about 44% of the student law school population, which is about 61,000 of the 140,000 students out there, have used CALI Lessons. So again, that's just another point to say, hey, there's a lot of students out there who this affects, so please pass along this information about the new viewer to them. The current viewer, of course, is that gray screen you can see in the picture, gray and blue. It's Flash-based. When we made this, we tried to do it without much scrolling, so there's a lot of paging within a page, I guess. And it looks nice, but I think at this point it's a little dated, so it needed an update, and we're happy with that update that we've done. A drawback about it was that you couldn't copy and paste with it. It was based in Flash, which if you keep up with that, you know. Also, that doesn't run on Apple products such as iPads and iPhones, so we needed to make that switch as more students use these mobile devices. And we think that it looked more like a piece of software, kind of like a video game, and the learning curve may be a little bit steeper for what we've done with the new interface. So that was the current version, and this is the new version. You can see it looks more like a web page. It's a little cleaner, a little fresher. So we hope you guys will like that. Quick rundown of the features. Now, the new version will work on, it's not an app, but it'll work on mobile devices. So there's a big difference between, of course, an app and browsing to it within your browser on your mobile device. So I just want to make that clear that you're not going to find this in the marketplace, or you're not going to find this in your app store. This is actually just on our mobile website. If you browse to it through your phones, it should work. And it will still work on computers, so this version will work just as well on computers as the old one did, except it runs in a little bit different viewer. It's all the same content and all the same educational content, so that stays the same. The other nice feature about this is an auto score save. So in the past, it was more like a manual transmission, where the students, in order to save their scores, into their accounts on the cali.org website, they actually had to actively push a button within the lesson, the score save button. But at this point, with the new viewer, they actually don't have to do that. So whatever the last question was they took, it saves that score, puts it into their account, So there will be no more emails, hopefully, from students who are saddened by the fact that they left the CALI lesson without having saved their score, and so they can't see their score. So we're pretty happy with the auto score save feature. The other thing, and this is just a little thing, copy and paste, but the old lessons you couldn't copy and paste. So at this point, we're pretty excited about the fact that you can go into the new lessons, and it's just like most web pages on a browser. You can copy and paste the text in there, and hopefully students can put that into their notes or save that for later. So at this point, I'm going to see if we have any questions. And is the new version up and running? Is one question, and the answer is it is for not yet for students, only for faculty and staff. And the other question has to do with whether hyperlinks to the old lessons will still work for the new version. It depends. If you're linking to a page on our website, a page to cali.org, the hyperlink will work. And but if it's a score or if it's a lesson link lesson, it will go to the old version if it's an old lesson link version. So hyperlink should still work, no problem. It's still going to be on the same page. It's just a matter of when. It's just a matter of when we switch it over to the default, and we'll go over implementation a little bit later. So, John, do you have anything to add? Anybody on the CALI side want to add anything to this?
Only on the. This is Elmer. About the hyperlinks working. Yeah, there shouldn't be links directly to running to the actual running lesson anyway, because those really shouldn't work because they'll break if the student's not logged in and stuff. So all the links, for example, the links on Twin take you to the lesson detail page, and then the student selects which version to run. So those will be fine. Lesson link, for lesson link links, faculty are encouraged to recreate those every semester anyway. But the Flash ones will still work for at least a year from now. After that, they'll get redirected to the new viewer.
Right. And Elmer, can you see my screen? The new. Can you see the website up right now?
Yes.
Okay. So, in other words, if it links to this page, all links to this page are not going to change. So that's going to be in the same place if that's what hyperlink you're talking about to old lessons. And with that, we'll just demo the new lesson. Right now, as I mentioned, it's not the default. So when people push this, either this green button or the Run Lesson button in the list of lessons, they're going to get the old Flash version. So if I click that, you'll see very quickly that's the old version. And we plan to keep that like that until at least for at least the rest of the summer. Now, the way you find, again, this is only available right now to staff and faculty accounts. So obviously you log in with your staff and faculty account, come into that listing of lessons and actually click the title. So you click the title and not the Run This Lesson button right now in order to run these new lessons. So you click that, and then there's this little tiny link that says Try New Lesson Viewer Alpha, and I have insider info that this is going to be beta tomorrow, Elmer tells me. So click that.
And the link will be, the text will be larger too.
Okay. So it will be a little bit easier to find. So this is the new version. Again, we think it's a little more streamlined. It looks a little more like a web page as opposed to a piece of software. So hopefully students will be a little more comfortable with it and learning it. And basic functionality of the old lessons is still there. There's a next button down here. You can go to the table of contents as this pops up. And there's the table of contents, just like the old lessons. And once I get to, well, as you work through the lesson, again, there's just the next button, there's the back button, and you'll see pop-ups are going to look a little bit different. So as I answer this question, it pops up actually within the page, as opposed to a little pop-up that used to come up that was movable. But this is how it needs to work in order for mobile versions of the lessons to work. And so it's just a little more contained within the page. And as you see, I click no, and it pops up below that. And this little button, sometimes there'll be an X, but in this case, and the X will close it out, but in this case, this branches directly to a new question.
Austin, this is John.
Sure.
So the new implementation of pop-ups actually changes the definition. So it's almost wrong to call it a pop-up, right? Because now we don't have to worry about pop-up blockers.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of people have pop-ups turned off or something in order to prevent the spam pop-ups or the under-browser pop-ups and stuff like that. That was always a little bit of a problem with the Flash version for certain types of things that happen, I think mostly in score save. And so these aren't actually pop-ups in any of the web definition senses. These are just well, I guess they're, I don't know, we got to come up with another word. Because they don't pop up, they insert themselves, within the text using, jQuery or JavaScript, and so they don't trigger any of the pop-up blocking problems that we've had in the past.
Right. And pop within doesn't sound very good. So, but that's what that will do. And here's again what was a pop-up in the old one will show up like this in the new one. You close that out, and it closes. Basic functionality. If you have any questions about that, go ahead and shoot that through the question ability that you have on your end. Score save now, again, that's automatic. So this is off in my account and actually saving what my current score is. And I can show you that very quickly. So back here on my profile, you can see a link that's called My Lesson Runs. And as you can see, without me ever pushing a thing, it already put 50% in there. So what that is doing is adding up my score with each question that I get to without me doing anything. And I think students are going to like that a lot, because they don't have to push save, and there's no way they can leave a lesson without having their score saved. Now, if you click that score button, if you remember in the old lessons there was another pop-up that showed the score and gave a little certificate of what the percent was. Same idea here, and eventually we'll add some more features to this, but right now it's just a little certificate, and this will actually change. The little medallion will change based on how well you score, but I only score 50%, so there's no medallion. And one of the cool things about this is actually if you push your score details, you can see a complete listing of the lesson, all the questions within the lesson, and you can see things like how much time was spent on each one, how many attempts that you took at answering the question, what your score was, and what your first answer was. So we've really broken down the amount of information you can get at the end of a lesson once you've completed and you want to look at your score, see where you've been, and kind of analyze that. So we really like that feature, and again, we might add some more things like sharing of that. But for now, we think that's pretty cool. And the other thing is this.
About scores in the question boxes.
A lot of questions about scores. So one question is whether the score details can be emailed or printed. At the moment, you can't email that from within the lesson, but we still have that we're still going to have that standard lesson link, or I'm sorry, lesson link functionality where you can give a customized link to your student and have them run the lesson, and it will show up in your account as a faculty member. Printing is a little tough right now with what it is, but I think one of the things in the pipeline is to actually push a button and it comes up as a PDF or something like that, and so it's a little bit neater than what you would get if you printed out this and this link or this list of questions. Right now, printing could be done technically by going to File, Print, but it wouldn't look that great. So what we need to do is some formatting with that, which we will. We're working on that though. The other question is, will the certificate of completion still be available? That actually will not at the moment, but all those details, and you can go into your scoring details here. This will be available, and this is easy to print out as well for a student from within their profile. So that certificate, not necessarily, but these scoring details, they will be available. All right, so that is the basic scoring functionality. Like I said, we're pretty happy with that. The other thing, we have this little icon here for feedback. This is the email feedback. Just click that and up pops an email that sends off to us here at CALI, and it gives a detailed description of where you are in the lesson. So that helps us a lot, and I'm going to ask you guys to do that as you run these lessons, and you find any issues or you find anything that you think doesn't look right, or you really want to tell us how great they are. Just click that, and it'll send us an email, and it'll tell us where you are in that lesson. So that helps us out a lot if you actually leave us feedback about the lessons with that. And a couple other things when you're on, well, you can adjust the text by pushing these buttons. So that's up, text down. And this mobile button right here, or this mobile link, that actually changes the layout. So this looks better mostly on iPhones or mobile devices or Androids, because it needs that extra screen space, or else you're going to be scrolling a lot. And the nice thing is you'll have that choice. The student will have the choice either to run it in that mode, or either mobile mode, what we call mobile mode, or screen mode. So, and we actually found that a lot of the students actually liked this version, the screen mode, better for the iPads. But if they want to run it as a mobile, what we call mobile, where the layout is a little bit longer across and takes up the whole screen, they can certainly do that. But either way will work, so it just comes down to a matter of preference. But it might be something you need to point out to students because they may miss it up there. And it doesn't currently read whether the person what device the person is using, and make that choice for them. So it's something they have to click themselves. Excuse me. So those are the basic functions and features coming within for students. The other thing to note is that pushing back actually does go back one, and that actually was not the case with the old viewer, right? When you push back with the flash viewer, you went out of the lesson completely and you potentially lost the lesson. But now you click back and you actually go to the question that was before that. So that back and forward does work like a normal browser would. The other features you see on here that I haven't mentioned yet are actually faculty features. So there's a link here and there's a link here that students can't see. So these are only available to you as someone who's logged in as a faculty or staff member. You click the faculty options and you get a left-hand menu over here. It starts out with contents. Once you click that down, several features show up right here. You get an outline, so you can jump around within the lesson. Straight to these table of contents. You get the mapper view, which is a really nice view that I think a lot of professors missed as they were reviewing the lesson, because they would run the lesson as a student and it's impossible to see this. So the nice thing about this is where you see branching, you see where a question is going to lead. You can zoom in on that and you can see that this is the one we're on right now, and it leads to this question. You can click on that and go to that question, and you can see in this particular lesson, based on where the student answers yes or no, it's going to go to a different question. So that's just a really nice visual layout of the lesson. Nice to run, nice to look at if you're a professor, and can actually see where the lesson is going and can potentially go. And we really like that that's built in as you run the lesson.
Austin.
In a normal way, yes.
Yeah, we actually have a question that kind of fits in here about the score reports that when you use LessonLink, the reports that the faculty get back only show the lesson, the questions that were attempted by the student. They don't show all of the questions in the lesson. Mm-hmm. So there was some concern about whether or not students were skipping questions and or being able to tell if the student how much of the lesson the student's actually done. That's actually a complicated issue because of the branching that Austin just showed. The lessons aren't necessarily linear. So two students could actually take the same lesson and both get hundreds but answer a different number of questions. Is that a reasonable, depending on how the lesson's put together?
Yeah, but I think that's a perfect explanation. That if this person answers yes, they go this way, take these questions, and never see these questions over here had they answered no.
Right. And so it's hard to sort of, because that's actually something we struggle with, because students sometimes don't know how far into a lesson they are. And it's actually hard to tell sometimes, depending on how they're going, just because of the nonlinear nature of that. Now, we could certainly expand, actually, in the initial version of LessonLink, the report included all of the questions that were in a lesson. But then there was confusion about, well, how come some students answered some and some didn't answer others? And so we just, shortened it up to make it so that, only the questions that were attempted actually show up in the report. But if a faculty member reviews the lesson, they have a good idea of how many questions there should be, in that area too.
Sure. Yeah, and I see. If you have questions and you want to follow up on that, for anyone who asks these questions, or you just
actually complicated. That's actually a complicated issue.
It really is. So you can email me. agroothUIS@cali.org. That goes for anyone who has any questions about this and wants to follow up with me. And
this is John Mayer.
Go ahead.
It's important to point out that what we're showing is the interface that students mostly see, and that the ability to share scores and other things that are more web-based are still in tweak mode. We're still tweaking those, and so some of those so your feedback on this is excellent. It's confirming things that we know and that we are working on to make the ability of students and faculty to share information about their progress and scores, more intuitive and easier on the website. And we'll be tweaking that right up until classes start.
Yep, absolutely. The other two links here on the left for faculty, alphabetical is just a complete alphabetical listing of each question that's in the lesson. Pop-ups are those what we used to call pop-ups, but those links that come from a lesson that lead to just a page basically with no questions, like this one. So that's a pop-up, and that's the name of each pop-up listed right over here. So those are the faculty options. The one other thing right here, it says LT, and what that means is lesson text. So I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there's a feature on our site called lesson text, which lists the entire lesson out, questions and answers, every single one, every single question, every single answer, every option for feedback that we have in that lesson. So it's the entire lesson just listed like this. So now, within the new viewer, when you log in as a faculty member, you're going to see that LT. So when you're on the question right now, on that page, you click it and it goes straight to that lesson text, to that question within the lesson text. And as you can see, like I said, this is the complete lesson text of that lesson. You can move in and out of it. It's just something that's very nice for reviewing lessons that a lot of people... I'm sorry?
Search. You can search within it with the Control F in the browser.
Yeah, you can search and just go through it and print it out. It's easier to print out, obviously. So I know a lot of professors miss that option when they're reviewing the lessons. So that is basically all the features that we have here within the new viewer. So like I said, everything pretty much is the same. It just looks a lot different. And you can now run it on iPads and iPhones, and you have that opportunity to, well, you don't have to push any buttons, so you can save it. Let me just pull up my presentation again. A couple more things to go over, some of the plans we have for this. Again, implementation of this, we want this to be the default by fall, by August, sometime in August. So when your students actually push that play button, they're going to get the new version in the fall. We're going to keep the old version available, the Flash version, but it's not going to be the default, so they actually have to look for it, and they have to go into the that lesson details page, find the old version, and run it to do that. But currently the plan is, and this is all tentative, the plan is to push it to the default by fall. Future development of this, things we're working on, may be close, but no expected timeline for it. We want to be able to have students resume their lesson from where they left off. That's currently not a feature, but obviously as we encourage mobile use and we get more short bursts of running the lesson, I'm suspecting that continue or resume is going to be something that people are going to want pretty heavily. So I think that's at least a priority in as much as we can make it a priority for this. So that will be a big feature. Other things we're looking at, maybe badges and things like that for scoring. And we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but sharing a score so you can email directly a score or put it up to Twitter or put it up to Facebook. We want to be able to do that eventually. And again, no hard timelines on these, but these are things we're definitely thinking about and working on. And also web authoring. So we want people who create these lessons to be able to go online at cali.org and run the lesson, and then they see something that they want to change. They can go in and change it with an online authoring tool as opposed to our offline software called CALI Author. So web development or web authoring is something we're also aiming for eventually. So what you can do at this point, get out there and test it if you can. If you get a chance, run a lesson, and again, that little button up there in the right-hand corner of the page that you're on is a little email button. Click that. Give us your feedback. Let us know if you find something that doesn't look quite right, because we need feedback, obviously. You're our biggest testers. Do that. Give us feedback. Let us know what you think. Tell us you like it, what you like, what you don't like. And that will be a big help to us if you get a chance. The other thing you can do is, once this is available to students, let them know about it. You know, put it on your blog, put it on your school's Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts, and send out an email about it, because it could be a little disconcerting to them if they're used to CALI Lessons, especially those 2 L's and 3 L's, to go in there, click the lesson, and then see this completely new thing. So I hope you guys get a chance to tell them about it. So with that, John, or anyone else, do you guys have anything to add? You want to add?
This is Elmer again. There was a question about lessons that aren't published to cali.org but hosted elsewhere. I'm not exactly sure how to answer that, because I don't know where else they're being hosted. If it's stuff that's being self-published by CALI Author or through the CALI Author software and then put online locally for students at a particular school, I believe the default right now is to send them to Flash, but there will be the ability to export them to this new version. I'm being told right now in another chat window. So if you have some custom lessons that you're hosting on your school's site, you'll be able to upgrade those to the new version, this new viewer using CALI Author. Also, the lessons on the DVD. The DVD will contain this new viewer as the default. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yes. So the DVD.
But I believe it will also contain the Flash lessons on the DVD.
Yep.
Excuse me?
Flash.
So the DVD will contain two versions of the lessons: the new CALI 5 viewer and the Flash versions. But as we all know, nobody wants to use the DVD. It's just an excuse to get people to click through to the website.
So I see a couple questions in here, and if you have questions, now's the time to get them in, because we're almost done. The question is, will the slides be available online from today's presentation? Yeah, I'll make all the slides available, and this is being recorded now, so you can look for that at, I believe, either webinars or webinar.classcaster.net, and I'll also send out information about where to go and get either the recording of this today or of the slides, I guess. And just to reiterate that timeline, we're looking for August. Well, within the next probably 2 weeks, would you say, Elmer, we're going to make this available to students as not the default?
Right.
Is that fair to say? Okay. So within the next couple of weeks, students will be able to see this, and what you should do is we'll post it either on our blog, which is right on the home page at cali.org. I'll bring that up very quickly. Or you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and we'll make an announcement about it. We tend to announce these things from there, but as you can see, this CALI Spotlight link, this is our blog. If you want those updates and you want to know when that will actually officially switch over within the next couple of days, you can do that, and you can subscribe to it as an RSS feed, or you can come over here into the CALI email subscriptions when you're logged in and opt into the RSS feeds straight to email and new blog posts. So there's a couple ways to be notified when that officially goes over to students. And again, we'll switch it over to the default sometime before, hopefully, all law students start in the fall. And it will be the default from then on out, but Flash will still be available. Just checking the questions very quickly. I think that pretty much covers it. Again, if you have any questions or want to follow up with us, my email address, agrothuas@cali.org. You can find it, all of us actually, under the About Staff link. And that gives our contact information. You can contact any of us. And I think that is about it. So with that, I thank you for showing up today and hearing about our new viewer. John, Elmer, anything else to add?
Nothing to add.
Nope.
All right, guys. Thanks again.